So you got your white belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Let's talk about what not to focus on. What you shouldn't be focusing on is the individual grips and specifics of techniques. As a white belt, people often get overwhelmed with all the intricacies and all the complexities of the different moves and sequences. And so they think that they have to learn and remember and recall exactly where to put your hands in every single situation, and it can feel impossible. Don't focus on that. Focus on showing up to as many classes as you can and getting as many positive repetitions as you possibly can. A positive repetition is a rep that's like, oh man, that felt like a good one. And that's usually when you have your pressure and your positioning and your grips and everything correct. And you weren't stuttering and you weren't fumbling. You had everything in the correct place the first time. That's a positive repetition. Get as many of those as you possibly can. And do not focus on the intricacies, because that's how you get overwhelmed. And the intricacies are nice, and eventually you may be able to rattle them off. But I promise you, you will learn them through osmosis by just getting a bunch of repetitions and showing up as much as you possibly can. Other things you should not focus on is leg lock offense. Now, straight ankle lock offense, I'm a big advocate for. Heel hook offense is sort of okay as a white belt to start to learn, but defense is going to be way more beneficial, because when you get your blue and your purple, like when you start going up in these ranks, leg locks are going to come into play. So if you can start working on your defense now, that's a great idea. Grab some of the upper belts in your gym who you trust and say, hey man, let's roll with leg locks. And tap and tap and tap and tap and tap, and then don't tap and then tap, and learn your defense and work on your defense, because it can be done and it's super important. But do not focus so much on ripping those heel hooks. It's not worth it. Straight ankle locks all day, but I wouldn't focus too much on that. This goes into a broader play of the fancy moves. A lot of people say don't focus on that. You should focus on the fundamentals. And I think that's a good saying, but I want to be more specific. Don't focus on things that rely on tricks to win. Now, eventually you can have a lot of tricks and get really, really good. But if you win, let's say, with a baseball bat choke, and they realize that if they just don't pass your guard when you have those grips, or don't let you get those grips, then your entire move is defunct. It kind of is like, well, what now? So don't focus on that, and instead, when people say focus on fundamentals, they mean moves that work through pressure and sound mechanics and securing a dominant position. A move where you could tell your opponent, hey, I'm going to do an armbar or a triangle or even a leg lock or even a baseball bat choke. Like, you could maybe do this if you set it up in such a way to where they can't defend it. But focus on really having moves that work because of leverage and structure and good positions. Don't focus on things like buggy chokes where you're fighting out of a bad position. You can do that, but it'll be much harder to learn the basics later on than it will be to learn the tricks later on. The tricks are easy to learn when you're advanced because you already have all of your bases covered. If you want to learn the buggy choke, well, you should learn how not to get choked out in side control, because if you're trying to buggy choke somebody but your side control defense is not that good because your posture, structure, and base are not sound, you're going to be screwed. So don't focus on that. Focus on being fundamentally sound. Don't focus on your belt rank. All right, so I'm a hypocrite because I make a ton of videos talking about belts in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But, yeah, you probably shouldn't focus on it all that much. The reason I make those videos is because, yeah, I'll talk about anything related to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but also, you guys watch them. The most popular videos in the Jiu-Jitsu community are about belt ranks, and you simply have to check the view counts to know that is true. But if you can help it, don't focus on your belts in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. At the very least, don't focus on it during class. If you want to focus on it, watch my videos talking about belts and leave me likes, comments, and subscribes down below. But don't focus on the belt during class, because that'll leave you sad, frustrated, and miserable. You'll be comparing yourself to other people, and your overall experience will not be as good as it could be if you were just showing up training and having fun. One last thing you shouldn't focus on as a white belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is, can't believe I have to say this, but gym politics and dynamics. This is something that once you've been in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu community long enough, you'll realize is kind of common. The reason why it's kind of common is because the world is small and people love drama, and people are in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, therefore people in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu love drama. definitely don't focus on that as a white belt. Honestly, if you can, don't focus on that ever. But there will be times where certain members of the gym leave or come or stay or whatever, and that creates issues. So yeah, don't focus on the drama, and especially don't create drama, right? Don't start messing with people. Don't honestly do anything other than show up, train, have fun, and be a nice, respectful individual. As long as you do that, you'll be alright. Thanks for watching. Peace.